This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is time for What in the World with Paul Seaburn and his sidekick, John DiNallo. But I think we have Rudolph sitting in Paul Seaburn's seat.
Rudolph. No, thank you for not calling me Bozo, Karen.
I know better.
For those of you out there in podcast land, hello and welcome to What in the World. If you're wondering what we're talking about, I am sitting here with a red clown nose on my face because Karen and John were not paying attention. So I thought I'd see if I could do something real quick to catch their eye before we got on the air.
Okay.
You did that. You did that for sure.
Yes. I have I'm not going to leave it on very long because it makes life difficult. It makes it difficult to breathe. I don't know. I admire clowns for all the work that they do and having to wear these red noses. I used to pass these out just for a little bit of information when I taught comedy writing to little kids. I had a comedy writing class back in Houston, Texas, for 4th and 5th graders, and one of the prizes I would always give out are clown noses. Everybody loves clown noses, so there we go. Oh, I can breathe again. So welcome to What in the World, everybody's favorite weird news show. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. I am Paul Seaburn, the host and also the editor and head writer at mysteriousuniverse.org, where I learned about all the weird and wonderful things that go on in the news and decided to create this podcast to bring it to the podcast world. On that particular platform, Mysterious Universe, the stories are more serious, more into UFOs and things like that. Here we just try to have fun. That's our goal. Get away from the news of the day. We try to stay away from politics, anything controversial, religion, you name it, we stay away from it. We just want to have a good time. Speaking of good time, our co-host and producer is Karen Hale, media mogul at newclevelandradio.net. While you're downloading us for free, visit some of the other podcasts that she has on the platform. There's just so much to listen to. I don't know why you go anyplace else other than newclevelandradio.net. And back on video and audio this week is my old buddy John DiNallo with What in the World of Sports. Hi, John. For those of you who can't see, John is looking spiffy here. He's sitting outside in the beautiful Northeast Ohio weather. Has his bottle of Pellegrino because I've never seen John drink anything but Italian bottled water. Go figure.
Well, it's very refreshing, Paul and Karen, and all.
Oh, yeah.
It is
like
very
the stuff
refreshing.
out of the tap isn't. It's the same thing, John. I'm sorry.
I know. I used to get discussions with people I used to work with all the time. So, you're paying all this money for something that's really basically it's really nothing more than just they got a label on it. So
there you go. I think we could do a show just on that, but we won't. So I want to mention that I want to thank everybody for listening. If you're live, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday afternoon at 3:30 Eastern Daylight Time, which is when we are broadcasting live. If you're listening, the same as well. If you've downloaded us and you're listening in the future, I hope we still exist. Please visit us on YouTube. I do have some photos that I will occasionally use in the stories, and it's always fun to see those. I'll try to explain any that I use in case you don't go to YouTube. When you're on all those things, please like us, follow us, do all those good things so we know that you're there. And speaking of knowing that you're there, I want to say hello to a couple of our longtime listeners. Mark down in Austin. Mark sent me some stuff this week. He's always sending some interesting stories. One of these days, we'll get one that's clean enough to use. Ha, ha, Mark. And also a special birthday shout out to Tex Chick, I think our original listener down in Houston, Texas. Happy birthday to Tex Chick.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Week. Yes, but I won't say how old she is. I know all I'll say is she's younger than me, and she'll rub it in. And hopefully she's in good weather. I know we were just discussing this before the show that Dallas had some pretty serious rain this week. So if our listeners down in Dallas, I hope you're staying dry. Now let's get to some fun news this week. Oh, John and Karen and everybody out there, weirdness is just growing by leaps and bounds around the world. We're going to France, where I have a shark that you guys are going to love. So wait till you're going to love hearing about this shark. And then we're going to go to England and hear about some cows that you're going to hate.
Ooh.
For John, I've got a story from New York, a very weird college mascot. So we're going to find out if John knows his college mascots, and we're going to talk a little bit about why this one is so weird. And also in the area of sports, I'm kind of stealing a little bit of John's territory this week, but this was a story that I did on Mysterious Universe, and I wanted to put it on What in the World as well. Aaron Rodgers, who is the Super Bowl winning MVP quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, has been seeing some very strange monsters, and he revealed it this week. So I want to talk about his experience and also the monster that he's seeing. And you may remember from a few years ago, I talked about a three-fingered mummy, a bunch of three-fingered alien mummies down in Peru. I became one of the world's leading experts on three-fingered alien mummies, which is on my resume right at the top. So now,
That's a credential.
Yeah,
It is a credential, Paul.
gets me free drinks at the finer establishment. This week was a different mummy. This was a four-fingered alien mummy, which showed up in Mexico. So I want to talk about that. I've got photos, by the way, John. So you'll be able.
I'm always interested in the quality of the photos, Paul. As you know.
Yeah, good quality photos. More
good.
strange stuff. Strange sports. John's got a sport for us this week, and then we'll play everybody's favorite weird news game. Bluff the co-host. So I lost my notes here. Let's grab them over here and let's get right started. Get right started. Where did that come from? Get started right away with some animal stories. You know how we love animal stories on What in the World. Bigfoot loves animal stories. How's Bigfoot doing today?
He sounds a little
Hey,
sick.
it didn't sound too good.
Is he under the weather a little bit?
Bigfoot, I don't know. I may have to fire this Bigfoot or retire him and find a younger Bigfoot. I don't even want to get into it. Okay, let's talk about animal. So John DiNallo, for those of you who may not have listened to previous shows, in his past life, he was an executive recruiter in the Cleveland area. So John, what's the worst excuse anybody ever gave you for being late for work or missing an appointment or something like that? Can you remember any weird, bad excuses?
Well, yeah, I remember one person said he couldn't make it on time because his garage door wouldn't open. So,
Okay.
But there's always been, so that was somewhat legitimate.
Okay, yeah,
but,
maybe.
No, I mean, sometimes people would just not be able to make appointments, and just you knew they were making things up. I mean, it wasn't something that was like really believable.
Okay, good quote right there, John. They were making things up. What if a person came to you and said, "I was late because my car was blocked by ducks"? Would you believe them, or would you say they were making it up?
No, I'm saying they're making that one up.
No, if they're in Memphis, Tennessee, it probably happened in front of the hotel where the doorman walks the ducks
that's right.
across the street every day.
That's right. Do they still do that, Karen?
Yep.
Wow, that's a great. I know we talked about that story before. That's a very famous story. Well, maybe this story will be just as famous. Let me see if I can pull this one up here while we're talking about it. So here is a street. I can't tell you where this is at because the person who posted it did not give an exact location. I don't know if they're trying to keep it secret or what. But what we're looking at is a two-lane highway that is completely blocked by hundreds and hundreds of ducks crossing the street, walking on foot, and a number of cars are stuck behind it because they don't want to run over any ducks. I think that's bad luck in some countries. And one car is completely surrounded by ducks. The rest are waiting. So hundreds of ducks. So
That's an amazing picture.
That is like Unbelievable.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
So what would you do? What should this person do to get ducks to move?
Honk their horn.
Honk the horn, no? That'd
Honk
be
their
the-
horn. I mean, I'm sure that's what they were doing, and the ducks didn't move. Obviously, I'm thinking roll down the window and yell out, "I'm Elmer Fudd, and I'm here to get you." Which is an old reference for all our old listeners.
Oh, wow.
But so they just waited to answer the question. They didn't know what to do, so they waited. So I have a couple of trivia questions to go along with this story. The first one is this: you know how much I love collective nouns. What is the collective noun that describes a group of ducks? Any Karen or John? You got any idea on that?
A flock.
A flock. That's always a good guess.
How about a gaggle?
A gaggle, more for geese than ducks, but a gaggle is a good guess. Neither one of those are correct, and I didn't know this, so I was wrong as well. A group of ducks on the water, so if they're on the surface of a pond, is called a paddling of ducks because their little feet are paddling underneath the water. Or they're called a raft because they also move across the water just the way these ducks are moving across the street in a tight formation. So a raft of ducks. I thought that was interesting. What do you call two ducks? You call two ducks, a pair of ducks, a brace of ducks. If you see ducks diving out of the sky, like they're diving into the water, that is a dopping of ducks. Not a dropping, but a dopping of ducks. A dropping of ducks is, I'm sure, what these people had on their tires.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Enough said on that.
If you see ducks flying over you, when you look up to be correct in the collective noun sense, you would call that a plump of ducks. Don't ask me why. A plump of ducks. And
Wow.
if you see them on the if you see them on the water, it's either a paddling or a raft. Now, what do you call a group? Let's see, a group of ducks crossing a road, which is what we have here. You call a group of ducks crossing a road chickens in disguise. Actually, there is no word for that. There is no word for that.
Oh, see, no, that's a little bit of a play on, well, not play on words, but you kind of duped us on that one, Paul.
Here's my question, and we talked about this a few weeks ago because I remember the discussion of having to do with geese. These are ducks. They have wings. Ducks fly. Why on earth are hundreds of ducks walking across the street when they could fly across the street? I don't get this.
They needed their exercise.
Oh, come on. Oh, you mean walking on those little flat feet is better exercise than flapping those wings and flying at 100 miles an hour?
I don't know.
If I could fly, I would never get calluses on my feet again. I would never land. I would always be flying. Anywhere I wanted to go, I'd be flying. I don't understand birds that do this. And John, you mentioned the gaggle of geese. I was stopped by a gaggle of geese. There must have been 20 or 25 of them walking across a major intersection in Cleveland a couple weeks ago, and that thought came to my head. And since you mentioned honking, the worst thing you can do if there's a gaggle of geese crossing the street is honk, because they either get mad and they honk back, or they get love struck and they start to have sex with your car. Either way.
No.
This is why this is a weird news show, Paul. This is why this is a weird news show.
Oh, I forgot. Some of John's friends are listening in today.
Well, I mean, just trying to keep up with just trying to keep up with the propers,
All right. So as a segue into our next story, what do you think you call a group of sharks? And it doesn't matter if they're flying or crossing the road or swimming.
A school of sharks? I don't know.
School of sharks. That's always a good one when it comes to fish. Karen doesn't have a guess.
I have no idea.
A group of sharks is a shiver of sharks. Kind of an interesting concept there. A shiver of sharks. Story is about a chef, though. This is Amare Bouchard, who is a French chef who also lives in Switzerland, but he's a French I think he goes back and forth, and he's a pastry chef. So Mr. Bouchon posted his latest creation on the internet this week. And I'm going to show you a picture of what he made. There you go. Now that looks almost like a cartoon or a drawing, but that is actually a shark made entirely of chocolate. Chocolate and icing, I guess, that changed the color.
Wow.
Yeah, an amazing creation. It's the chocolate shark is 7.5 feet long, weighs 150 pounds, and is made of 100% chocolate. So everything, they must use different colors to get that skin to look like that. He said it's one of the largest chocolate creations he's ever made. And there's a little baby shark on the back, little thing that he added at the end.
It looks like there's two of them.
Oh, there may be a
Yeah.
Right. It looks like two. Right.
I think you're right. Now, I thought to make it more realistic, he should have had a chocolate arm in the shark's mouth.
Oh,
What?
no,
No?
no.
I don't.
What's Bigfoot say about that one, Paul?
What, you gotta want to know what Bigfoot would say.
Trying to muster up something there. I don't know.
I'll tell you, I want to know what Quint would say. Now, the John, our trivia guy, what movie was Quint from? Has to do with sharks. I'll give you a hint.
What is it?
Jaws. Quint was the
Oh.
shark hunter in Jaws. And he was famous for saying, we're going to need a bigger boat. If he was faced with how big is this again? 7.5 feet of chocolate shark, what would he say? I think he'd say, we're going to need bigger graham crackers and marshmallows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Sure.
That'd be one heck of a s'more right there. Now,
Well,
well, since you know how much I like trivia, I'll give you a trivia warning here. Jaws came out in 1975. Believe it or not, that movie is almost 50 years old. Quint, the Craggy, is that the word? Craggy old shark hunter was played by Robert Shaw. And I wanted to look up a little bit of information on the movie. Turns out he wasn't their first choice. The first choice was Lee Marvin to play the shark hunter in the movie Jaws. I think Lee Marvin would have done a good job, for those of you who remember Lee Marvin. The Sheriff Brody, was played by Roy Scheider. And he also was not the original choice for the sheriff. That was supposed to be Robert Duvall, which would have, I think, changed the movie completely. I couldn't see him as the sheriff. He didn't want it. He wanted to play Quint. But the other guy that they considered was Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston as the sheriff, but they thought he'd be too strange of a sheriff, so they went with Roy Scheider. But the one I liked the best, now you remember the oceanographer, Richard Dreyfuss was the nervous oceanographer, always wondering, never had a good idea. He turned out to be perfect for the role, as always. People who they considered before they settled on Richard Dreyfuss: John Boyd, Timothy Bottom, Jan Michael Vincent, boy, is it? I don't know if he's still alive. Kevin Kline, which would have changed the movie completely. Joel Grey, who would have, I'm sure, in the middle of Hunting for the Shark, would have broken out into a musical number. And Jeff Bridges. By the way, Joel Grey lived, I don't know if he's originally from Cleveland, but he lived for a long time in the Cleveland area and performed for many, many years at theaters around town. Little bit of Cleveland trivia there for you.
Yeah, that's my recollection too, that he was very, very popular here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. He came back. In fact, little bit of a segue here. Few years ago, he came back and did a workshop, kind of a reminiscence of his life in Cleveland at one of the theaters, and the lovely Donna and I went to see it. And he had a lot of clips and clips of him when he was a little kid performing. He's really, really interesting, very interesting guy. Father of Jennifer Grey, the actress who was in Dirty Dancing, is that right?
Yep, you got
Yeah,
it.
Dirty Dancing, that's right, and Dancing with the Stars as well. So, okay, I will move on here, boy. A little trip down memory lane. We're going to talk about cows next. What do you call a group of cows, John and Karen?
A herd of cows,
A herd. There you go, John. Good guess. Also, a yoke of cows. I guess.
yoke of cows. Okay.
Yeah. If you have a smaller number, you call them a yoke. If you have more than 12, you call them, get ready for this, a flink of cows. Flink, a flink of cows. Look at all the great useful information you get listening to What in the World. You know, in your next trivia contest.
Good Scrabble words.
Scrabble
Yeah,
words.
good
Very good.
Scrabble words. Excellent Scrabble word. I was going to say for your trivia contest at the local bar, but Scrabble, even better, flink.
Sure.
Flink. So this comes from England, where from a beach in England. A nice segue from our shark story as well. So this is the Gaddings Dam Beach in England, and the beachgoers were forced to share their sand this week with cows. 24 cows came from a nearby field. I don't know how they got out, but they settled down in the sand. They're in the water. They're all over the place, in places where the people were sitting. So now they had to go to the non-prime spots on the beach while the cows laid out and sunned themselves. And I mean,
That's quite a sight. That is quite a sight, obviously.
no kidding, John, and really disgusting because the cows, you know, even though the people were warning them, they refused to put sunscreen on because their skin was already leathery. It's think about it. This would be my worst nightmare. You know, I'm laying on the beach with maybe back in the old days when I was younger with my date and my girlfriend, and this muscular cow comes up to me and kicks sand in my face and lays a patty on my blanket and steals my girlfriend. Who do I call, John and Karen? Who do I call to get my revenge?
I don't know.
Who would you call?
Well, if you're my age, as John and Karen are, you would remember Charles Atlas because that's where
Yeah.
that's where that commercial came from when the bully came and kicked sand in his face.
Right.
If it's a cow kicking sand in your face, you call Charles Angus, who had it completely.
Well, you're in rare form this week. Very good.
I know. Thank you. It's a big. There's the duck. How do you get rid of cows, John and Karen? What do you think? How did they get rid of them?
A bell? Yeah.
Good.
No, you don't want them to start singing, John.
You could threaten to milk them.
They threaten to milk them? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
threaten to milk them.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Threaten to milk them. I don't know what they did. I would have pointed to the sign that said no topless bathing here because they're obviously, I can see their udders, so they're obviously topless. Believe it or not, there's nothing unusual about seeing cows on the beach because after all, they did invent tanning. Here, John, I'll do it. There you go.
Okay.
And they go in the water too. I didn't realize this, but it's natural for cows to go in the water. Hence, we have the expression "cowabunga."
Well, that could be believable. Could be.
So good word for Scrabble too. By the way,
Yeah,
that is a real word. And do you know the origin of cowabunga?
No.
And this is again for people of a certain age, namely people of our age. The original usage of cowabunga came from a television show, probably from before. Yeah, definitely, I will say that from before we were kids, but we probably saw the rerun, and that was the Howdy Doody show.
I used to watch that every day.
Okay, Howdy Doody. So you may remember, what's his name? Chief, and we couldn't say this on TV today. Chief Thunderthud
Yep.
was the Native American who used to add kawa, Kawa, to many of the words that he used in a feeble attempt by people back in those days to make him sound more Native American. We'd never get away with that today, and we shouldn't. I mean, it was very, very demeaning. So he used to say kawa this and kawa that, And one of the things he happened to utter during one show was cowabunga. And that's where the first usage of the word cowabunga came. During the 1950s and 1960s, surfer dudes who used to watch the Howdy Doody show when they were kids would yell cowabunga while they were surfing, and it became part of surfing lore. Cowabunga appeared in a Peanuts cartoon when Snoopy went surfing and said cowabunga, and that ended up on a bunch of T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kind of stuff that Charles Schultz tried to sell. The Cookie Monster says cowabunga, and for those of you of a younger age, you're going to be screaming at me. I can hear you that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially Michelangelo, like to yell cowabunga.
I do remember that. Yes,
Yeah, I didn't know that either. However, I did know for the other group of people yelling through the podcast airwaves, Bart Simpson also likes to say cowabunga.
Yep.
So from Howdy Doody, look at what Howdy Doody created that we still know today. I thought that was wild. So now, John is our sports guy. Let's see, do I have a picture? I'm going to take this down over here. John's our sports guy. So I'm going to give you a school here, John, for you to think about. Tufts University, Tufts University, Rio College in upstate New York. They have a mascot. Now, I don't know if you know their mascot. If you do, I'm going to be asking you. If you don't, this is your time to make one up.
Well, I could. No, I'll tell you what, Paul. I really can't hazard a guess. I don't know.
Okay. You'll love it then. So, a new study from, this is in Massachusetts. I'm sorry, not in New York. Massachusetts. New York plays in the story. So, Tufts University did a study on food. Okay. And they found out that an ice cream cone with nuts and chocolate ice cream is healthier for you than a multigrain bagel with raisins. Okay, so ice cream in a waffle cone with almonds on it, chocolate ice cream, is healthier for you than a multigrain bagel with raisins. Now,
doesn't seem right.
No.
The statistics are there. You can look it up. This was at a college. So I'm just thinking that if they ran the cafeteria, that's got to be the only school where graduates miss eating in the cafeteria. Because if it's healthier to eat ice cream, that's all I would eat in the cafeteria. John and I went to school together. I don't know. Did you ever eat in our cafeteria, John?
Yeah, I did. A couple times I did. Right.
Yeah,
A couple times, but not a steady. No pun intended. Not a steady diet. But,
John quit eating there when I started working in the cafeteria.
Oh, okay. All right. You saw what was going on.
If ice cream was a healthy food, there would be no food fights. I'd be scarfing it down. Don't fling it at anybody. Now, Tufts mascot is Jumbo the elephant. And even though the costume is an elephant, because of eating all that ice cream, there's no students who can fit in it. So they're looking for volunteers to fit in the costume. How on earth, John, did Tufts University get Jumbo the elephant as their mascot? You may be asking, which you obviously are, since you didn't know that was their mascot. It turns out it goes all the way back to P.T. Barnum. P.T. Barnum had brought a large African elephant from Africa in the 19th century, back in 1865, as a matter of fact. And it was named Jumbo, and he took it around, to all the circuses,
right?
Wherever else he went to. So he had it here in 1882, and the name. And here's another one for you trivia buffs. That Jumbo is a made-up name, which became the word jumbo. So now we use the word jumbo to describe large things. There was no words that such as that before. So it came from the name of the elephant. Jumbo Jet, Jumbo Marshmallow, Jumbotron, everything.
Wow.
Poor Jumbo got hauled all over the place. Poor Jumbo died in a train accident. Got hit by a train. So it was negligent But P.T. Barnum, being the sucker born every minute kind of guy that he was, he made up a story that Jumbo was walking with little Tom Thumb, who was the little person in the in the circus, and the train was coming, and Jumbo pushed Tom Thumb out of the way and saved his life, and by doing so, poor Jumbo was hit by the train. So P.T. Barnum, being the kind of guy who wants to make money, he says, I got to make a little more money out of Jumbo. So he took it apart. He had the skeleton he donated to the American Museum of Natural History in New York City. Have you been there, John?
Have not been to that.
Wade Museum. The
Yeah.
Jumbo skeleton is still there.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
The heart, Jumbo's heart was donated to Cornell. It was sold. I'm sorry, it was sold to Cornell University. You know what the mascot of Cornell University is, by the way? The Ivy League school. Those Ivy League schools are hard. You know, they don't use animals like Crimson. I forget what Harvard is. Yale's the Bulldogs. I know that.
Yale's Bulldogs.
The Cornell is Touchdown, which is a bear, the touchdown bear or big red bear. But they called the team the Big Red.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so Jumbo's hide was stuffed and made into to look like Jumbo again, and it traveled with the Barnum Circus for a while, and then he wanted to donate it to somebody. So Tufts University of Massachusetts wanted apparently they wanted it and also some money from P.T. Barnum, a donation. So they named a hall after him, P.T. Barnum Hall, and he was so excited that he donated Jumbo to Tufts University to put in the hall. So in honor of that, they made Jumbo their mascot.
Oh, wow.
Way to go for that.
Interesting trivia point.
Yeah.
For sure.
By the way, the original Jumbo was destroyed in a fire, but they have pictures of it. If you want to take a look at it at Tufts University, they have a nice looking stuffed person in a Jumbo costume. I don't want to make fun of them, but yeah, we might get Tufts University as a sponsor someday. So somebody we're not going to somebody who we're not going to get a sponsor as a sponsor after I do this story is Papa John's. I know John doesn't eat Papa John's pizza because John's Italian. He eats good pizza.
No.
Sorry, Papa John. So Papa John's unveiled their new Papa Bowl. Have you heard about this? The Papa Bowl is a bowl of pizza toppings and cheese without the crust. Now, does that sound appealing to you, John?
Not really. No. I mean, no.
I didn't think so.
How does it?
There you go. That's what they look like. Basically, it's a bowl of pepperoni and cheese. I don't know of any Italian grandma who made a bowl of pepperoni and cheese for her family for Sunday dinner. Doesn't make sense. But that's what they're selling. Apparently, if you miss the taste of a Papa John's pizza, they'll sell you a little topping that tastes like cardboard, and then you got the real thing, like it was delivered hot. A little bit of trivia on Papa John's. I don't want to waste too much time on trivia here. Founded in 1984, Papa John Schnatter was in his father's bar in Chicago, Illinois, and there was a broom closet in the back that wasn't being used. And he bought a little pizza oven and set it up in the closet and started selling pizza out of there. And that's how the company started.
Didn't know that.
Interesting for the young kids who are listening to the podcast, if you're invested in Bitcoin, there's a connection between Papa John's and Bitcoin, which I hadn't realized. On May 22nd, 2010, the first Bitcoin transaction was made between two people. They agreed to trade 10,000 Bitcoin for two large Papa John's pizzas. And that day is now celebrated. May 22nd, every day is known as Bitcoin Pizza Day. How about that?
Another trivia point I didn't know of. Wow.
Had no idea on that one.
Sure.
Here's one from this poor couple in Germany. Can't sleep. They're in their 70s. They can't get any sleep because their neighbor's rooster is crowing all the time. And by all the time, I mean 200 times a day. They counted it. So they're suing the family because the rooster is crowing so much. 200 times a day. That's an awful lot. You have any idea how often a normal rooster crows? 15 times a day. So that's,
Really?
yeah, 15 times a day a normal rooster crows. So they don't know what to do. So they sue these people. You know why roosters crow? Okay, I'll tell you.
Okay, tell
No,
us.
no. Paul, I don't have the answer. Sorry.
They do for a number of reasons. One is to let the other roosters and hens in the yard know that it's time to get up and start looking for bugs and seed. So that's why they became the alarm clocks.
Okay.
Yeah, they also, since they're the male, they also crow to let the hens know that they're available. And they also crow after sex to let the other hens know that they're available again. Yeah, I can't make this stuff up. A rooster's crow is only 90 decibels, which is about the same as a barking dog. So I don't know, maybe these people had more than one rooster. Most effective way to stop a rooster from crowing is not to say, shut up. And I hate to say that, let's see, here's another word for you to use in Scrabble. You have to caponize him. Caponize, C-A-P-O-N-I-Z-E. Any idea what that might mean, John?
Caponize?
Caponize, yeah. It's to remove his male organ and makes them into a capon. You know, I had no idea what a capon was. A capon is a castrated rooster. And apparently, did you know that, Karen?
No, I had no idea.
In many countries, not England, they will castrate a male rooster and then feed them milk and other things to kind of tenderize them up. So it's a more expensive cut of chicken meat.
Huh.
Except in England, the practice of caponizing is banned in England because it's cruel to the rooster. Cruel to everybody, I would say. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna skip over that one there. Because I want to get to the story about now I can't even remember the guy's name, Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers is John, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
That's correct.
That's been his team for the entire time he's been a
NFL player, yes.
NFL player. Where did he play, by the way? He played at
California.
University of California. He was a Golden Bear.
Yes.
Is that the mascot? Yeah, okay. Well, I see that. You're rubbing off on me, John. All of a sudden, I'm remembering some of these things. So, so Aaron Rodgers, despite being a most valuable player and a very good quarterback, is not the nicest person. You know, people don't have a lot of good things to say about him. He kind of berates his teammates. His family doesn't always have many good things to say about him. But the guy's making billions of dollars, and he's won the Super Bowl, and people in Green Bay love him despite of that. So recently, and we did a story on Aaron Rodgers a number of years ago when he saw a UFO back in 2005. He and a couple of his former college teammates were in North Carolina laying out on the beach, and they saw a UFO. So you don't get too many NFL players seeing UFOs. So that was a good one. Wait till you hear what he saw now. So this week, this is still, what do you call this? This is not spring training. Preseason. This is NFL preseason.
Yes.
So, John, have you been to any preseason games?
I have not. I did not go to the Browns game against the Eagles on Sunday. I actually sold my tickets.
So I'm going to mention that there's some controversy surrounding the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Well, it turns out there's some controversy surrounding Aaron Rodgers as well. He hasn't been playing, but he's ready to go. And what he gave a news conference where they were asking him about it. He says, "Well, I'm ready to go. I spent my off season taking ayahuasca in Peru. Now, ayahuasca is a psychedelic tea that people drink. It's made from a plant. And when you drink it, it causes you to vomit for 3 days and hallucinate. So he was willing to put up with the vomiting in order to hallucinate. And that's what he did. So he had this psychedelic drink, and he presents it at this press conference. So the team goes nuts because there's a reason. There's a number of reasons why players get in trouble, as we know in Cleveland. In this particular case, it's using drugs. So guess what? They got somehow this stuff, this psychedelic drug, does not count against the NFL drug policy.
Oh, it's not a substance that is banned or what have you, or
It's not banned. That's right. So
Wow.
he can take it. He can take it. He can talk about it. He can do anything he wants with it. So it's not a problem. So he said. So he kept talking about it. So what he said was he revealed that he had the hallucination while he was in Peru. Then he came back, and now he sees this being all the time that he refers to as the Hat Man. Now the Hat Man is one of these creatures that people see. He's like Mothman or the Men in Black. One of these strange characters that
right.
a lot of people see, but they can't explain.
Uh-huh.
So he says that this Hat Man is even following him into the locker room and turning the lights on and off. And he doesn't want to stay in the locker room by himself anymore. So he says the last time he saw it, this is a quote from the news conference, John. He says he sometimes appears in the distance, usually veiled by darkness, holding the corpse of a dead rabbit and sometimes a blade. This is the guy.
That's
Then he says,
or hallucination. Wow.
yeah, he was behind me, not even breathing hard. I heard his feet hitting the ground in a constant rhythm. I ran to my car, opened the door, slammed it behind me, and locked it as fast as I could. So, and then he sees the lights going on and off. So the other players have said, oh yeah, you're not supposed to leave Aaron in the locker room by himself because he sees this Hat Man. So the Hat Man, it turns out, is a psychologist that studied people who see the Hat Man. And basically, they're suffering from sleep paralysis. So a lot of people will, when you start to fall asleep, you see things walking around. Sometimes people feel them sitting on their chest. And what happens is you wake up because you feel this thing sitting on your chest and you think you see it. So that's what they think he's seeing as a result of these hallucinations, is this Hat Man. Where's the hat? Yeah, I know.
Wow.
But Aaron swears that he has seen it. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I don't think the Browns play the Green Bay Packers this year.
No, they played them last year, but I don't think they're on the schedule this year, Paul.
I'll tell you what, if your team is, anybody listening out there, if your team is playing the Packers, good game to buy tickets for and get in the stands and yell, "Hey, Hat Man!" It just might help.
Happening. You can see it happening for sure.
There you go. All right. So now my other weird story of the week is the four-fingered mummy. Now I mentioned before, I talked about the three-fingered mummies in Peru a number of years ago. This is from Mexico, from Taxco, Mexico. Donna and I visited Taxco a number of years ago. It's the silver capital of Mexico. And this story comes from a silver mine. So this researcher is looking, he's an archaeologist, and he's looking for Aztec artifacts. So he goes into this silver mine in Taxco, and he found some artifacts, but he also found something else. And I I have a picture because I know John, if there's no picture, he doesn't believe. Let me get the.
I need photographic evidence, Paul.
Photographic evidence. I know, John. Let's see. Oh, I'm lost here. I know you can see me, but I can't see me. What did I do?
We can see you.
You can see me. I know. I'm trying to get the picture up. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So in addition to the artifacts, he found this mummy. Now, yeah, I don't know if you can see the fingers look like they're curled up, but there's four fingers on this mummy. It has we've talked about the people with the cone heads, the large skull people that they babies were, because some cultures create them by binding the skulls of babies, which is a terrible thing to do. This particular mummy has a bulge on the top of its head, but it's more like a knot, like a man bun on the top of its head. Also, if you look at the eye sockets are very large. So, so this guy, he's a legitimate scientist, legitimate archaeologist. He can't explain what it is. So he holds a news conference. I think I might have a picture of him at the news conference here. And there he is. So there's the mummy on one side and a giant skull is what he described it as on the other side. Yeah. So these are he called it a mummy and a skull, supposedly from extraterrestrial. And his name is Pablo Sanchez, Dr. Pablo Sanchez. So he says he's analyzed it. They haven't probed anything yet, but he believes that this small being, which has a rib cage, also has very long arms, very long legs, a cone head, and then this giant head that he's holding. I think it looks more like a mask than an actual skull of an alien. But it also has fangs, but it also has some teeth in the back of its mouth, if you can see those, that look kind of like big human teeth. So it could be something that was made by someone in an attempt to fool us, a hoax, which is what some people are saying this mummy is a hoax, similar to the three-fingered mummy, where they took pieces of bodies of animals. This could easily be a monkey, and maybe a dog's head or something, that they assembled the pieces together and then they mummified it and put it in the mine, hoping that hundreds of years later or decades later, some people would come in and say, "Oh my God, it's a mummy," and they'd all be laughing. So anyway, so he believes that this is this could be an extraterrestrial, and he named it Brother of the Stars. There's a they used an Aztec word for that. I'm going to try and pronounce, but he calls it the Brother of the Stars. So that's what he thinks this is, an alien that came from the stars, one of our brothers. He found them in Costco, as I mentioned, in a silver mine, and there were also some other artifacts in there, like the head, and some knives and some statues that look like this mummy with the cone head. So yeah, so there's a lot of people who believe him. There's a lot of people though who say this quote right here: the skull looks like a modified pig's head, which it does. I'm sorry, but it's hard to say until they dissect the mummy. And fortunately, Mexico is very much like Peru in that they respect the fact that this could actually still be a human. It could have been a deformed human, could have been a child, and these are the remains of their ancestors. So they don't just let people come in and tear the mummies apart, and they want to treat them with the respect that you would treat to the remains of a human being. So they haven't figured it out yet. They haven't done any probing. That so far all they've done, this is hot off the presses. They've revealed the photographs and the story of the Dr. Sanchez, who went down there and found them. Now, to show you how easy it is to be fooled, I want to put up another skull over here. Oh, that's not the skull. I guess I don't have the skull. Okay. I had a skull. I talked about the story on Mysterious Universe. And I had a skull of a creature that had very large eyes, like you see on Alien. And if you've never seen the skull of a cat before, that's what it was. So it's easy to fool people when you use the power of suggestion. I do it to John all the time. So
or something like that.
There you go. That's right. But he manages to stump me every once in a while. So, if it's real, we have just broken the story of the century that the first alien mummies found in Mexico. And if not, then we covered another hoax. So
I would think that would be the story of the century if that's true.
You better believe it, John. All I can say is you heard it here first on What in the World.
Okay, that's
Yes,
good.
you did.
How about that? That's right. So something else you get on What in the World, I'll take this guy down for a second here, is strange sports. And I had a conversation over the weekend with a mutual friend of John and mine at a wedding. And we were talking about strange sports and the fact that you can always tune into What in the World and pick up the information on the strangest, most unusual sport you've never heard of. I challenge John every week to find us something that's a sport that's being played somewhere in the world, legitimate sports, something that we might be able to participate in, although that rarely happens. And he always manages to find a good strange one. So this one, I'm not even going to attempt to. We have it's a funny name. So John, why don't you introduce our sport and I'll set up the photos for it.
Oh, that sounds good, Paul. That sounds like a good plan here for us. So yes, listen closely. Our sport this week is korfball. Now, I know it sounds korfball. I know it sounds like a medical condition, but it's really an actual game. It
does sound like a medical condition. Yeah, you're right.
Developed in the Netherlands, and it's played now worldwide in nearly 70 countries.
How do you spell korfball?
It's Korfball. Korfball.
Okay.
Okay. So it is believed to be the world's only co-ed team sport, and fans say it takes a few moments to learn, but a lifetime to perfect.
Co-ed team sport. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, right. So anyway, the sport was invented in 1902 by a Dutch school teacher by the name of Nico Broekhuizen. And this is after he had visited the country of Sweden, where he was introduced to the sport of ringball, where men and women competed together.
Ringball, okay.
Where men and women competed together to throw a ball through a ring that was mounted on a very tall pole. Now, when he returned to Amsterdam, Broekhuizen gave the game a Dutch twist by replacing the ring with a korf. And korf is the Dutch word for basket.
Okay.
And the korf is mounted on an 11.5-foot high pole with no backboard. And the court is similar in size to a basketball court. And each end has a korf pole set in a few feet from the out of bounds line, so players can actually score from behind it.
But I have a photo up here of some people playing korfball. And
right.
To get the picture in your mind, for those of you who can't see it, the basket is very close to where the foul line would be inside the free throw area of a basketball.
That's
court.
right. That's right.
At either end. So there's one at each end. And it looks like a peach basket or something up at the top.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
But so korfball teams consist of 8 players with 4 female players and 4 male players. During a game, 2 men and 2 women must be on the court at all times, and men guard men while women guard women. Now, players pass the ball with their hands, but they can't dribble, and they score points by tossing the ball into the goal. That's the only way you score points. You have to be able to throw the ball into the hoop.
So now, the hoop is 11.5 feet high.
Well, yes. So the pole is 11.5 feet high.
Pole is the basket is yeah.
And there's no backboard, right?
Which is higher than what is a NBA basket is what, 10 feet?
Yeah, 10 feet.
10 feet. So this is another 1.5 feet higher. The reason why I asked that, it looks like they're using something like a volleyball or a soccer ball rather than
an actual regulation basketball.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that'd be a little lighter to throw, but that's a long way to throw.
Oh yeah, absolutely, it would be.
Yeah.
So in the play, players assume either an attack or defense role. After 2 goals, defenders and attackers switch, placing an emphasis on developing their all-around skills. As they say again, it takes a lifetime to perfect this game. Now, it is usually popular in the Netherlands, where it originated, but there are, believe it or not, over 500 clubs and more than 90,000 people playing korfball on a yearly basis.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, it was actually featured as a demonstration sport many years ago. This was in the Summer Olympics in 1920 and then again in 1928. This is for you, Karen. The International Korfbal Federation was founded in Antwerp, Belgium in 1933. And since then, it has spread to 69 countries worldwide, including the United States, where korfball was played at the World Games in Birmingham, Alabama, this past July. The gold medal was won by the Netherlands, with Belgium taking the silver, and Chinese Taipei the bronze. Now, to promote korfball in the United States Korfball Federation, or the USKF, donated 10 korfball goals and ball sets to Birmingham City schools 5 years ago as a way to get more kids interested in korfball and getting them to become more physically fit.
Wow.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, a very good idea. I mean, it's
it doesn't look like it's that expensive. The two poles, they have to be firmly attached to the floor, which I'm going
right. I mean, it's a relatively simple game, to learn the basics of it. But again, where it comes in is the passing, and again, being able to defend and to be able to go on offense to score.
Yeah.
Now, to promote korfball in the United States, further, no other city besides Birmingham has done this. So that might be something that Cleveland could look into, or some of the suburbs around the area, to be able to promote the sport. Now, it looks like another great invention by the Dutch. I just hope they don't celebrate winning by soaking the winning coach with a barrel of hot cocoa.
Oh.
You can see the Gatorade, again, flash from the football games, but hot cocoa, oh boy, I don't know. That would hurt.
Yeah, I know. Some of the photos that we were showing where the players were playing outside, and Holland is the Netherlands is a cold country, so they just might have hot cocoa on the sidelines. And
They might.
keep warm. Yeah, exactly.
This is the 1985 photo here of a U.S. team, which actually won the bronze medal back in 1985 at a championship in London. So interesting change in uniforms from over the years. But speaking of the change in uniforms over the years, great sport, by the way, John, korfball. I say I've never heard of it, and yet thinking back, John and I went to college together way, many years ago. And it seems to me that we played korfball once, a crude form of korfball.
I have a vague recollection of that, Paul. Do you have a picture of us?
I don't have a picture of us. I do have a picture of the korfball court that we used. And you have to remember, we were poor college students in Cleveland, Ohio. We had no money. So we couldn't really afford uniforms and all this fancy equipment, but we still managed to play a crude version of korfball that looks something like this.
And again, the winner is the one who can put most of the crumbled up paper into the basket.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, the way we played korfball was with a wastebasket and a lot of term papers crumpled up and tossed into the basket at either end of a dorm room. And that's college korfball for you. Well, korfball from the Netherlands. What a great sport, John. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome, Paul and Karen.
Thanks. And I agree with you. I think
you.
that's a sport that we could easily, I don't know about it, we could easily master. We could certainly, as you said, it's an easy sport to play.
Right.
I agree. I think it should. That's the kind of sport and co-ed teams too. I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, really. Exactly. Yeah.
I believe you said it's mandatory that the teams are co-ed. So they don't.
Yeah, my understanding is you have to have male and female competitors on the team. So
yeah.
To follow the standards or the rules of the game. That's what you need to do.
There you go. All right. Well, speaking of sports that males and females can compete in equally, we've come to the part of our show that everybody looks forward to. What in the world? Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news show, weird news game. purpose of, or the rules of Bluff the Co-host are simple. I have 3 stories. They're similar to the ones we've been talking about this afternoon. One difference, those stories were real. If Bluff the Co-host, you have to decide if the story is real or if it's a bluff made up by a secret writer who works for What in the World. The wagering is allowed, so place your bets. Karen and John, put your hands on the buzzer. I don't think I have a theme this week, so let's just get right to it and see how well you do. Story number 1. A famous potato chip slogan said, "Bet you can't eat just one." But it didn't mention what you ended up with after eating the whole bag. Besides a bellyache, you had greasy fingers. Well, Lay's, the maker of those addictive potato chips and other snacks that leave greasy things on your fingers, has unveiled a mini washing machine for oily and cheese dust covered fingers. That's right. All you have to do is press the on button, open the little front loading door, put your fingers in it, and wait as the mini washing machine spins and sprays alcohol on them. When it detects your fingertips inside of it. The alcohol tank is refillable. The mini washing machine features a USB charging port to charge it, and Lay's says, get your order in soon because it's available for a limited time only. So, a mini washing machine from the Lay's Potato Chip Company to wash the grease off of your fingers. For people who have too much money, what do you say, Karen?
Well, I sure hope it's fake because I go to the grocery store and I don't see them at the grocery store. I spent a lot of time in an electronics store. I've never seen it there. I spend even more time on Amazon and have never seen it. So I'm going to say it's a fake.
Karen says it's a bluff. Okay. John, how about you? Big potato chip fan here, by the way.
Oh, yes, I am. But I would think on the same line of thinking that Karen has. I've never seen anything like this, and not because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it exists, of course. But I'm just thinking it just seems to be too weird for it to be true.
Too weird to be true. That's a rule that followed often on this show. Okay, so
that is right.
So John and Karen both say that the Lay's potato chip mini washing machine for greasy fingers is a bluff. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say, I don't know how much it costs, but you can get it on their website, the Lay's mini washing machine for washing your greasy fingers for a limited time only. Yep.
Wow. Really? I'm going to look it up on their website.
Cute little box. Yeah, it's a cute little yellow box.
Sure.
So
wow.
Why don't you just go to the sink and wash your hands?
That's what everybody does, Karen.
Because then Lay's doesn't make any money.
Yeah. Okay.
Or come up with the.
It's one of those gadgets that you have to maybe not have.
Right.
There you go. All right. Well, speaking of gadgets, let's look at the scoreboard, and the score is 0-0. Oh, we better give John and Karen a chance to catch up here. So let's get right to story number 2. There's nothing like soaking in a hot tub, unless you live in Iceland, where the hot new thing in soaking is the beer spa. Customers at the many beer spa location soak in wooden tubs filled with hot water, brewer's yeast, hops, oil, and salt. As the beer fermentation process begins, the beer spa says that the brew cleans your skin, softens your hair, allows your body to absorb vitamins, potassium, and antioxidants, while the hot jets of beer help reduce inflammation and joint pain. The beer spa barrel is big enough for 2 if you want to share the treatment with a friend, but they won't let you drink it afterwards, pointing you instead to a shower connected to a pub serving cold brews in a glass. So the hot new thing in Iceland, the beer spa where you soak in a hot tub and the jets shoot fermenting beer on you. Boy, that sounds like a many nights we've had, John.
Well, not too far from it anyway.
Is it a real story or a bluff?
Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to say it's fake, because what happens after you have all that beer on you? I mean, do you then go to take a shower? I mean, I don't know. I'm not following it. I'm going to say it's fake. I'm going to say
Okay, John says it's fake. Karen, how about you?
Well, they say beer is good for your hair. And it's
Yeah,
also
right.
supposed to be good for your nails. Like you soak your fingernails in beer.
Really?
Yeah. Now, I
Dude.
don't like the smell of beer. So I would have to take a shower after being in the hot tub full of beer. So I'm going to say true.
Karen says it's true because beer's good for your hair. Would you, if you were in one of these hot tubs, would you dunk your head in it?
No, because I don't like the smell of beer.
Oh, you don't like the smell of beer. That's right. Okay, so Karen says that's a real story out of Iceland. John says it's a bluff, can't be real. Let's check with the judges. And the judges say, Karen, next time you're in Iceland, you might want to try a beer spot. It's a real story, John. Sorry about that. Yeah. And there is a shower. That's what they asked you to do.
Okay.
You do smell like beer when you get out.
Sure.
Until you shower and then you smell like beer and soap, I guess. All right, so that means the score is 1-0. Karen in the lead. Fortunately for John, points are doubled in round number 3, so he has a chance to eke out a victory this week. So
I'm hoping you can.
Yeah, let's get right to story number 3. One of the joys of summer is a trip to an amusement park where the whole family can enjoy rides on roller coasters, merry-go-round, and other exciting attractions. It turns out families have been doing this for a long time, as archaeologists digging in Iowa found puzzling 10,000-year-old footprints of what appears to be woolly mammoths walking around in a circle. They also found prints of the bare feet of humans, both adult and children, in a line leading up to the woolly mammoth circle. From what they can determine, it looks like the mammoths were tied to an early wooden wheel, and the people were lined up to get rides on them. Now, it sounds scary, but woolly mammoths were actually smaller than modern elephants, so they were easy to get on and off of. As expected, there was also evidence of fires where the prehistoric amusement park goers enjoyed woolly mammoth on a stick. Okay, so the discovery in Iowa that prehistoric people actually rode woolly mammoths for fun. Real or bluff, Karen?
That's a lot of information to get from, just, taking a brush and, finding footprints and things on the ground. I'm going to say it's a bluff.
Karen says it's a bluff. She sounds like she knows her archaeology there, too. Okay, Karen says it's a bluff. John, how about you?
I'm going to say it's real. I could see a dedicated archaeological team doing this and discovering this. Archaeological studies are always important if they come up with something, and I'm going to say they came up with something important with this one.
Well, John says it's a real. It's a real. Would you ride a woolly mammoth?
No, why would I do that? I mean, you have to have a little bit of reason yet. I mean,
okay. All right, so the 10,000-year-old woolly mammoth ride at a prehistoric amusement park. Karen says that's a bluff. Am I right? Karen says it's a bluff, and John says it's real. Let's check with the judges, and the judges say the score is 3-0. Karen, you have won the game. That's a bluff.
Very good, Karen.
Wow, it's about time.
I lost a worthy opponent.
God, maybe it's because you're sitting outside. You're enjoying yourself too much, and
yeah, I kind of took the edge off. I'm going to have to really study this weekend to make sure that I can come back next week.
I think you should. And we don't really know what's in that bottle. It's probably not water at all.
Oh.
No, wait a second. Now I mean, it's hard to prove that it's not. Let's put it that way. But I'm telling you, it's it's bottled at the source. Okay, and this is in Bergamo, Italy. Okay, and it's a spring. It's a spring that's been producing this water for decades.
That's what they want you to believe, John.
I know.
We already know how easy it is to bluff you. So
let's put it this way. My parents told me many years ago, don't believe everything you read.
There you go. All right,
right.
very good. And yet we hold that same philosophy as well for Bluff Nicole as well. Another fun show, another fun game. I want to thank my good friend John DiNallo from What in the World of Sports and our college days together and our days together now. So good to see you again, John.
Good to see you, Paul and Karen.
Enjoy the rest of the day outside. And
Sure.
Karen, thank you for everything you do for What in the World and for everything you do for nuclearradio.net. Everybody go to nuclearradio.net, download us, and then download some of the other great podcasts Karen has. And lastly, I want to thank everyone listening to the podcast, either live or in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to us and supporting us. Like us, follow us, do all those great things, and tell your friends. We'd like to have more listeners. And also, I'm on Facebook. Send me some messages. Send some to Karen. Let us know you're out there. And on that note, I think I'm going to call it a day. We will see you next week on What in the World.